And I just turned around and I hauled ass out of there. I was done. I wasn't dealing with that.
The hypocrisy of the cult is one of the things that turned me away the quickest.
When I turned my headlights on, it turned and looked at us. And one of the things I remember the most were the eyes were glowing red.
I see an orb of light. It is just circling these steps like it is waiting for me.
And he begins to tell them that he saw a UFO. They're basically like, what are you talking about? That's 7 foot up on a tree, peeking around it. And that's where I saw the top of the muzzle, nose, and the eyes. As soon as I made eye contact with this thing, it felt like death.
Welcome back to Tinfoil Tells. I'm your host, Brandon Wright. Tonight we're going to be joined by my guest, Sonny. Sonny has a podcast out there. I was on his show a while back. Talked about getting on here and doing a little bit of talking on my show. So I'm definitely looking forward to talking with Sonny again. Dive into some of the weird experiences he's had and kind of why he does his show. Before we jump into that, if you ever had an experience and you'd like to be on an episode of Tinfoil Tells, there's a couple things you can do. You can send an email to tinfoiltellspodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to tinfoiltells.com and go to the contact section. Just make sure to get a message to me. We'll get something scheduled for a future episode. If you'd like to help the podcast out, please continue to share it. Every time you share the podcast, there could be a new listener out there that discovers the podcast. Maybe they got a story they'd like to share too. You can also help out by leaving a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to Tinfoil Tells at. So if it's Apple, Spotify, wherever, it doesn't matter. Just make sure to click that 5-star rating, and it helps out with the podcast, makes it more discoverable. Make sure to check out the Patreon for all the exclusive content that's over there. And also follow me on all the social medias. But we're going to go ahead now and dive on into the conversation with Sonny. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I'd like to take the time to welcome my guest tonight, Sonny. Thanks for coming on here and talking with me.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you, Brandon, for having me.
Not a problem. I was on your show a few months ago. We talked a little bit about some of the things that happened with me, and then I said I'd like to have you come on my show and talk about some of the things that you've looked into and some of the things you've researched, and here we are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so initially I know that I was hesitant to talk about like paranormal stuff because I didn't feel like I had any, but I really have to think about it. I actually have had quite a few, but I know I wanted to talk initially about all the conspiracies and stuff about like Aboriginal Americans and whatnot, but I decided not to go that direction today. I wanted to just stick on like stuff that's like more in the lane of this show because I've actually like I started listening to your podcast, like it just became one of my it's part of my rotation now. So
Yeah.
like I'm like, that it would be cool to talk about that on this show, but maybe like if on a later episode we could get someone that's more knowledgeable about the subject. Because like I was telling you, I always look at it like from a fan's perspective. I didn't do too much heavy research into it. Like I'm like surface level on it, like more than
Mm-hmm.
surface level, but I wouldn't feel confident to like just like go on every podcast that I go on and talk about it. Like I know everything about it. So,
Right.
but yeah, well, I'm just tell you a little bit about myself. My name's Sonny, like Brandon said. He was on my podcast that is called Sonny Talks. Is on the NFS podcast channel. You can find it on YouTube. I'm sure Brandon will have the links down in the description. We're also available everywhere else where podcasts are available. About me, I am a 29-year-old father now, and I'm from the Bronx. Grew up in the Caribbean. Um, Yeah, I mean, not too much about me. I was into music for a little bit, or like trying to make music as like most like black young guys in the hood are usually. Um, that didn't really go anywhere, but yeah, like so. I mean, like I'm pretty much into music, conspiracy, spirituality, religion. Not necessarily a religious nut, but I'm interested in it. I like to look at it like from a history perspective also sometimes. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
We got in contact with each other, I think it's probably towards the beginning of the year.
Hmm.
And it's just been so chaotic. I've took the last 6, 7 weeks off and I just started recording again. So I've been trying to get my
Oh, really?
studio. I've been trying to get this studio built and put together. I've moved out of the basement. I've bought a lofted cabin slash barn and I've converted it into a recording studio. So this is one of the first times I've been out here recording with it. So
Oh, where did this looks like the exact same room? You did a good job with keeping it like the same format.
yeah, it's same style, same idea. I'm just
Well, yeah, yeah, because before it was like a ledge in the back or something, right?
yeah,
A bookshelf, maybe.
it was the same thing. It was just a wall, but I was down in the basement of my house. Now I'm not in my house. I'm outside and built this thing and kind of keeps things a little bit better. I think some of the things I talk about may have some sort of negative energies that get attached to some of the things that I dabble into. So I figured
You know,
keep
you
keep all that stuff out of the house.
it's funny you say that. I've heard you say it a lot on the podcast, and I think even when we were talking about that stuff, and my girl would always say, "Now you're talking to all these crazy people, all these people's problems, or you
Mhm.
bringing all that energy into our house. God forbid, like something's trying to get to us." And I'm like, I don't know. But like, there is something about like doing these shows and like having people on, even if like you just letting them speak and you're not really like contributing that much. Like, there's something about that story being out there now and like you being part of it that like almost
Mhm.
like brings you into that experience somehow.
Yeah,
And it's something to it. It is a little weird. So I like that you moved a little bit outside of your house. You probably still on the same property, but like you're there.
I'm approximately 10 feet away from my garage. So we're not attached, but I say that,
Okay.
but the wiring is attached. So I don't know if that's going to matter or not. If the spirits want to attach to the energy of the wiring and move into the house still. I mean, there's really no other way of getting around it. Like all the electricity runs together around here. So unless I found property elsewhere and completely moved it to a different piece of property, there's really no way of escaping it. But at
Yeah.
least I'm not in the same house. So I can be out here. I can talk about whatever. My family's in the house. My kids are sleeping. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to hear me talking in the middle of the night, freaking them out, having nightmares or whatever. So,
Yeah. Well, that is it. It does get a little weird when you're talking about someone and like let's say, well, I don't know about you, like, but my old setup, it was in my room, so like my partner, my girlfriend would be right over the side, and she'll just hear me talking about like, oh, so what happened with your mother, and she did what to you, and like, and then it was like,
mhm.
oh, my girl just looking at me like, what the fuck are you bringing into our bedroom?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, my kids have heard me say some things here and there, and I try not to talk about some of the things like that we actually experience ourselves because I don't want them listening to me. So I figured it'd be better to come out here so they don't have to worry about it anymore.
yeah, definitely. So, well, real quick, so were you able to get in contact with the guy I tried to hook you up with last time? Wait, did he come?
Yeah,
You
we
got
got
something
things.
in the works already?
Yeah, he actually he was on an episode.
Did it already pass? I might have missed that one.
Yeah, it came out a couple months back.
Oh, damn. What the hell? I missed it then. I gotta go back and check that one out.
Yeah, I
Were
think
you able to go do his show?
no, he never asked me. I haven't heard from him since then.
I'm pretty sure he's just busy. Just hit him. He's always down to have people on.
Yeah. So I haven't
Yeah,
really heard anything from it since then. I mean, I'm busy, he's busy. I get it. Everyone, we do a whole lot of things, so it is what it is. I don't
yeah,
really get too concerned about going on people's shows. To be 100% honest, I've actually talked about not doing a whole lot of other shows lately just because it's kind of, I don't have a whole lot to talk about other than the stuff that goes on here. And I'm kind of tired of telling the same thing over and over and over. So it's just kind of like I'm taking a break from doing that for a little bit.
yeah. And real quick for anybody that may be listening, yes, I am black, but that wasn't a smoke alarm going on. I just moved into a new house. There's like some shit here that I don't know. I gotta find what it is so I could either unplug it, replace the batteries or what. But I'm also now in the basement. Uh, Not too happy about it. I mean, it's cool. I wish I had a space where I could smoke. Remember, I used to smoke in my videos, but like, whatever. A little
Yeah.
short on the roof too, barely making it through, but it is what it is.
I started in my garage and I migrated to the basement. And now I've migrated outside into a barn that I have to pay for. So
But are
it's
you rent? Is it like a rent situation, or you built it?
it's one of those rent to own things. So
Mm,
I have to pay monthly payments for it, but hopefully around tax time I'll just pay it off, but we'll see.
yeah, man. I know what you mean. Right now, I'm trying to figure out our backyard situation. We just made a garden bed. I got hype. We put some soil in, threw some beans out there. They started sprouting, but now, so it's a three section, and the right section is good. That's where the beans are at. But the left section and the back section, a fucking cat's been getting into my backyard and just crapping in there. So I'm like, this is ruining everything for me. But I mean, the summer's almost over, so
Yeah.
I'm just take that as practice, and then I'll work on it for next summer.
The biggest problem we've had this year has been groundhogs and moles. I live out in the
Malls,
country and they've destroyed my yard. The
oh
groundhogs, they
man,
were destroying my barns, like not this one, but I have a pole barn out back and I have two goats in the goat barn and there's a chicken barn and they were living underneath all those little sheds and stuff out back too. So it's just crazy. People ask, like, you have a pole barn, you have a chicken barn, you have, why do
what's
you
a
need another
pole
barn?
barn?
It's like it's 40 something feet by like 30 something feet, but all the inside of it's just dirt. It's not finished or anything nice. So I don't really use it for anything. I just store my lawnmower and some other stuff into it. So that's got its own
Okay.
power ran and stuff to it. I could have done something out there, but it's so big. I still had to build inside of it to make a smaller room just for using it. And then, like I said,
And have to
with,
insulate it. Yeah.
with all the animals and everything else that are just running in there, like rabbits and gophers and groundhogs, and it's just, I was like, no, I'm just going to get this thing and convert it into what I want to convert it into.
Hey
It's
man, you gotta get the goat on the show at some point.
the goats out back, the old devil goat. The one that I actually saw, I don't know if I told you the story, but when I first moved in, one of the goats that we had had passed away because there was, we first bought the place, there was two goats, and one of them had horns, the other one didn't. So when I went down to check on them, one of the first nights we were down there, it was a full moon and it was creepy. And I couldn't see. I wanted to make sure they got put up in the barn. So I'm walking and I see this silhouette standing up against the tree and it looks like the devil because I see horns and I see the whole Baphomet shit. It was a goat. It was standing on the side of the tree eating the bark, trying to get the leaves. But all I could see is just the silhouette of it. I was like, oh, that's Baphomet. I'm dead. I don't want not pissing
Damn,
around with that. But that goat
it's
actually, it
it's funny.
died a couple of years ago. So don't have that one
Ah
anymore.
shit. Damn, bro. The fucking goat kick the bucket.
Well,
It's crazy how you saw that, but you were like instantly able to be like, oh wait, that's just a goat standing up next to the tree. But like a couple centuries back, that's probably what inspired the
yeah.
whole Baphomet or whatever.
Yeah. That or even the thing that's up behind me over here, the Jersey Devil. Can't really see it in the
Oh,
thing. But it's
okay.
that
I've been
was
trying to,
the winged
yeah,
it was,
because the Jersey Devil's like a
yeah,
winged goat,
it's like
pig
a
type of thing, right?
yeah, it's like a little horse-headed winged thing
Have
that
you had
flew.
anybody on to talk about the Jersey Devil?
I actually did. It was a couple months back. It was the episode that says the rock apes and the Jersey Devil on it. He never
Okay.
actually saw the thing, but something in that same vicinity, like he heard it on the roof and the way the roof was or whatever. He said it couldn't have been something jumping from the roof to the other roof. He said it was strange. Like, he said it could have been a Jersey Devil, but again, without actually seeing it, just kind of making assumptions of what it could have been.
Yeah, my manager, he's from South Jersey, and I asked him like, hey, like you ever met like you met anybody that seen the Jersey Devil or anything? He said nah. Like that shit's all bullshit.
So yeah, I've got the guy that actually did the artworks, he's going to be on an episode, so he actually might be on the episode before this one even gets released. He's going to be
Okay.
he's from he's from the area. We're going to do an actual in studio recording because he's going to be at Mothman Festival, and
Oh yeah, yes, yes.
he did all the artwork back here. I got on the wall behind me, but
It's crazy. It's crazy. I remember you. I don't know if you announced it on my show, but like that's like one of the first times I heard you talk about that you were gonna start doing these outside events, and like I've been hearing you talk about it so much on your show. I'm like, damn, when is this shit coming? But
yeah.
because I never pay attention to the actual date when
Well,
when
the
it's coming.
one the shitty thing is the one I've been promoting, the first one coming up actually just got canceled.
God damn it!
Yeah,
Wasn't that
so
supposed to be the first one in Iowa, the Sasquatch?
no, the first one in Indiana, that one's still going on.
Indiana.
Yeah, that one will be going on. It was the one up in Michigan. That it was Bigfoots and Brews and Spirits too. That for some reason got canceled and I'm not sure what's going on with it, but I got my money refunded, so
Yeah,
I
man,
won't
fuck
I won't be
yeah.
at that one, but the other one there's still three more going on. So I'll be at all the three of them here in Indiana. But no, I've been looking forward to going out there and talking with people, having things set up, so see how they turn out.
Oh yeah, best of luck to you. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get some crazy stories in there. But so let's get it. So I want to just like start talking about. Not, that sounds a little crazy, but let me just get into my story about the just like my experiences with like the spiritual realm or whatever. Not necessarily, or just things I can't explain. So
Yeah.
for me, like it all starts like cliche. Like my earliest memory that I can remember was like picture. You remember like those old school photos? I want to say maybe like circa 70, 80s. It was like a little like orangey tint to the photos.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember it looking like that, but probably more like pronounced, more orangey, a little bit more reddish. And like I remember like seeing like what I believe to be my mom, but now thinking about it, I feel like it could have been like my sister on like a kitchen floor, and like I don't really remember too much about it. I just like that image just like stood out to me. Like remember like seeing it like a red tint and then like seeing my sister and then like not really remembering much after that, but like then later on like I feel like I started like having memories from like a really early on because I remember being like in preschool and stuff. And like around that time also I would have like these dreams. And in the dream, it was weird because it was like it looked like a shopping center. So this is at this time I was living in the Caribbean, and best example I could probably give it was like you remember like in Scarface when they're showing like the like, oh, okay, perfect. You see in Scarface the scene where he almost get killed at the hotel, and when they're about to chop up his body. Do you see how it's like a hotel area, but kind of like a shopping complex?
Yeah.
So the scenery is something like that, but painted yellow. It looked like a place where I used to go to get my haircut, but it was just something different about it. Like I felt like, oh, that's this place, but it was just something off about it. Like the stores were different, different sizes, and there was like a magic shop in there. So, and then like anytime I would go into like the like every dream, like every time I'll have this dream, I end up at that place, walking into the magic shop and just like roaming around. And I don't know if it was like inspired by like this think it was like this movie that used to be on Disney. It was like a scary movie, but it had to do with like it was like multiple monsters. I don't think it was called the Monsters. I know there was like a really old one that had like Dracula and Frankenstein and the
Monster
werewolf.
Squad.
It was kind of like Monster Squad, but it was like a Disney one, and it was kind of like more modern. It was weird, but anyway. that it's kind of pointless. But the main point of the story is like every time I would have this dream about this place, I will like wake up and like I'll be like in sleep paralysis. And it got to the it got to the point where I could kind of like do I used to try to do it on the man. Like I'll wake up in the like early morning, let's say probably like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like in bed and I'll just say, all right, let me try to think of that place, go there. And nothing ever came from it. But I will also see like shapes and like shadows and stuff. So then I started thinking like, oh, because that was like the cliche like theory that oh, that's when a witch or a ghost sits on you, you have this sleep paralysis thing. And like that stuff was like it went on probably for like a couple of years. And then like it stopped. I never really saw like a ghost when that was happening, but I would see like the shapes. And but like granted, I did live right next to a church and across the street from a graveyard. So
Mhm.
maybe that has something to do with it. But so that stuff stopped happening. I didn't really have like sleep paralysis, I wanna say from like 8 to like very recent, like probably I wanna say like 3 years ago. It just started happening. Maybe through the during the pandemic time, it was started happening to me. And it would freak me out because then like it was like I mean like anybody would probably get scared with like you wake up and you're like, oh, shit, I can't breathe, and then it was like while I'm going to sleep it'll happen. And it used to creep me out because then like I'll just start like trying to scream and then I'm like, and then like my girl just like gets
Mhm.
freaked out and like pushes me and then like it helps me and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm out. But the reason I bring that up is because well, damn, I'm all over the place. Well, let me just finish that part. So the reason I bring that up is because I had a guest on. I tried to have him on your show. I don't know if you ever reached out to him. His name is escaping me right now. Oh, Drake, and he was explaining how you can when you're experiencing sleep paralysis, you can actually use that to astral project. And he was telling me that all you have to do is like give into it and let your body drift away. And I was like even after having that conversation with him, I think it happened to me after that, and I'm like still like hell no, just wake me up, make me move. I- If I don't want to get into the astral realm by those means, like if there's another way, I'll do it. But I'm not gonna just like give into this whole like okay, I can barely breathe right now. I'm just not gonna fight it and just drift away. Because that sounds crazy to me. I don't know about you, Brandon,
Yeah.
but I'm not trying that. I
Every
feel like,
time I have some sort of sleep paralysis, and I don't ever think of it as sleep paralysis, but it's happened to me often. I just wake up and I can't move, and then all of a sudden I can move again. So it's like I feel like I'm just not fully awake. I don't like my brain's not awake yet. Like
yeah,
my
and I equate it to that too because it also happens to me while going to sleep. So it's like I feel like all right, my body is like falling asleep, but my brain is still functioning. Maybe that's why I'm like in this like stuck in this phase because like all right I didn't fall asleep fully but my body's already asleep. Oh shit, what's going on? It's
yeah.
weird though.
I know a lot of people correlate with sleep paralysis, like you're being interacted with some sort of different type of entity or different type of energy or whatever, but I don't
Hmm.
necessarily know if that's 100% accurate or not because I don't ever feel like something's there feeding on my energy. I mean, maybe it's possible, but for me, it just seems like I'm sleeping or I'm right at the edge of sleeping and being awake, and my body's just not fully like understanding what's going on and I can't move.
Hmm.
But the thing that fucks with me the most is when I have a dream and I usually start flying or falling. And then I wake up in the middle of that and I slam into the bed. I was like, was I just levitating or was I just jerking? Like every time I
Oh
wake
shit.
up, I just jerk. It's like I fell in bed. So I'm like,
Mm.
did I really just leave my body and I just fell back into my body? So That always kind of messes with me when that happens. But again, that happens just about as much as me not being able to move. And I've never
Mhm.
took anything into that other than just being asleep. But the more I've been doing this show and the more times I've talked with people and I talk about sleep paralysis, I was like, I mean, maybe I do suffer from sleep paralysis. I just never knew that. Never even really heard of
Yeah,
it before the last few years.
yeah, and it's crazy because like getting into all these type of things, listening to people talk about, it, also having people on that discuss it is like sometimes they say like you might be traveling to these places and you're not gonna remember because it's almost even like how like your dreams are like they're just like fleeting memories as soon as you wake up and it's like, oh wait, did that really happen? Like the other day I had a dream and I think the only reason I remembered was because I watched a video that kind of was similar to it. Like I was doom scrolling, randomly saw this video, a guy taking a snake out of a pool in the backyard, like in Florida. I fall asleep, have a dream. I'm walking in the mud room, like coming in from the backyard, and there's two snakes in the mud room. I'm like, what the fuck? And then like I went on and during the day, and then by like 2 o'clock, I'm like, yo, did I have a dream about two snakes in my fucking house? And I'm like, what the
Right.
fuck is going on? I'm like, it is weird. That stuff is kind of like tricky because then like some people say, yeah, you control it, you can astral project. Um, it's weird because like I just finished reading like the Emerald Tablets and he's talking about it, and it's weird because like in the book it says like, oh, say these phrases and these things. And I'm like, I'm not gonna see that. Like, even reading it kind of feels a little creepy. Like, is this a spell? Am I putting a curse on myself? Am I allowing myself to be um entered by entities? Because a lot of the times too is like we may not know that we're giving away permissions and stuff with certain things.
Yeah. I
That's
actually
why
was,
whenever I feel like something is attacking me or like there might be something around, I just randomly like, hey, you do not have the permission to be here. I do not accept you. Like I just start saying whatever, but I always ended up in the name of Jesus Christ because apparently that works. So,
I've been doing that in the house. And to be honest, we haven't really had any issues. But since the last time we spoke, um, so where I'm at is my desk. And this desk used to be down in the basement. I actually just got the other part of the desk today. So I put it together. So I have a now the wraparound desk all the way around me.
okay,
But,
big money.
but, this desk, I'd came down and I was letting something like I was basically working on an episode. So I was letting it kind of edit itself and I had to go outside and do something. So when I came back downstairs, I noticed there's a couple dead flies on the desk. I'm like, that's weird. And I started looking around. All around the desk was dead flies. They weren't there like 10 minutes ago. There was over 24, I think it was like 27 flies, I think I ran up counting, dead on my desk. All the same green metallic flies, and they were not there earlier.
Ew, what the
Where in
fuck?
the hell did they come from and that quickly? I actually have pictures where I collected them all in a cup. I actually still think the flies are somewhere around here. I don't know if they're still in the basement or where I put them, but I didn't get rid of the flies. I kept them.
Why you keep keeping these mementos? You're getting me upset, bro. First the fucking bones at the dog farm, and now
Yeah,
now these fly. Oh no, you got rid of the bones. You tossed
yeah,
them.
I got rid of the tooth. I actually, I talked to someone that's actually into the whole UFO thing pretty big. He's been doing it for over 50 years, and he wanted me to go look for that tooth so I could send it to him. I was like, man, I threw that motherfucker out in the field. I can't find it now. It's gone. But no, the flies, I think I may have put them out in the garage somewhere. I put them in a container and I kept them because I was like, I learned my lesson from when someone said to find the tooth and not get rid of the things anymore. So the little flies I kept, I can't, it never happened again. So it's just strange. And I actually just did an interview like a day or two beforehand. And I talked about stuff and I said, nothing has been going on. I was like, so knock on wood, we're all good here. And then 2 days later, all the flies are all over my desk. They were nowhere else but my desk.
That's super weird. 27 flies at that. There's something about the 27 number. Um, You know, they have the 27 Club. I was watching some videos with I don't know if you ever heard of Gary the Numbers guy.
I
He's like
think
a
I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with
he's like
him.
some big numerology guy. He predicted a whole bunch of shit. He's usually on the bigger shows. Um, but the reason I'm bringing him up is because they asked him about like what's the whole thing with the secret societies and the 27 Club and the number 27. He's like, that one I can't disclose that
Mhm.
in the air. I'm like, oh, there's something really mischievous about that 27. So
Yeah. There's
you know,
I talked to Brad Lale from the 33rd parallel. There's a lot of weird things with the number 33 too.
hmm.
So,
Oh, nice. You had the 33 guy. I think I've heard him on the other show.
yeah, he was on Mark's show
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he was on this show and he's been on, I think he was on Tinfoil Hat. He's been on several different shows. But now when it comes to numbers and all sorts of things, there's a lot of weird stuff when it comes to it. I understand how people find it and they find it interesting. My friend, he's all about, and I know it's because of it all stems from the whole QAnon or whatever bullshit, but they always use the number 17. And if you like pay attention to a lot of weird thing, like if you watch movies and if you listen to certain like they reference number 17 quite a bit, like
Uh-huh.
the 17th floor, or you're going into room 17. Like there's that number does pop up a lot. And I don't understand like stuff from like the friggin' 80s have it in there. I was like, I don't know what the reference would be to that number, but they reference that number quite a bit.
I mean, if you really like, well, from all of my tinfoil activities, conspiracy wormholes, I've come to the conclusion that it's all just like they're all following. I wouldn't say like hermetic principles, but they're all following like these esoteric rituals and like they get translated and adapted by different groups as like, and I feel like it's always like groups that are in power. Like who's in power right now? All right, rappers are in power. All right, these rappers, and you guys gotta get with the program. Start pumping out stuff with this. All right, just do that. Don't worry about nothing. And we're pushing out this message and this programming into the world, and it's like I hate that when you try to discuss like conspiracies and like the coincidences with people like that are like super like
Mhm.
normie, they're like, bro, what are you talking about? Oh, here he
Mhm.
goes with his conspiracy theories. It's like,
Yep.
bro, this shit is right in front of our faces, bro.
Yeah.
And it's just weird because I just feel like everything most of the time is like revelation of the method. They let us know what they're gonna do before they do it. Then it's also like it plays like multiple roles because it's like, all right, we're revealing it what we're gonna do. It's part of like the universal laws. And also we get to discredit the crazies because we're putting it in their face and then they're gonna point it out and then like other people aren't gonna believe them or whatever.
It's almost as if they have to announce what they're doing.
Yeah, the revelation of the method. That's part of the universal law.
Hmm.
So in order for them not to have karmic retribution, they have to tell you. We have to announce like, all right, we're gonna blow up this street and we're gonna whatever random XYZ building in whatever town. All right, can someone work on this cartoon and put that out there
Yeah.
5 months before it happens? And once it happens, because they said so, the whole theory behind the revelation of the method is that since they already revealed it before they did it, they don't get the karmic retribution because it's like we accepted it because it was already put in front of us. So we basically agreed to whatever their plans are if once they put it out in front of us.
I see people relate a lot of current things and they say the Simpsons predicted it. And I don't know if that's just all made up crap or what, but they always show like little pictures and they claim us from like this episode or whatever. And like the Simpsons were predicting it. This and I was like, I wonder if that's just them doing exactly what you just talked about. Like that's their
Hmm.
way of saying things way in advance. That way they don't have to deal with it. Like, well, we already told people. It's not like we're lying about it.
Yeah, and then, I mean, there's a lot of things like that. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of the Illuminati card game. Like, even that type of stuff. Like, it was a card game from the 80s, and it predicted a whole bunch of shit that was gonna happen. But apparently, the way that the card game was developed was it was like some game maker, and like he was like into conspiracies and stuff, and like I guess he made like a call to action, like, hey, you guys were fans, like write in a whole bunch of conspiracies, and I'll use them for this book. And then after the book, he ended up making it also into a card game.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I do
and
know.
there's real quick, my bad. There's one of the specific cards in there is called is like about Trump and shit. And then like after there's even like it's called like the sniper, and it shows like a mock like shooting, and then like the guy in the picture weirdly enough looks like Trump, and he's also doing like
Yeah,
the fist
that
land.
was a perfect photo opportunity. I mean,
Yeah, that should have that too much awareness in there. We could go into 100 rabbit holes. I don't even know too much about the situation, but just like, bro, how the fuck did like 2024? This like, sorry, but it's like uni like white kid like climbed up to that fucking roof and just shot the former president. Bro, how?
there is so many different things that I don't even want to go down into. We kind of talked about it a little bit. I released an episode the other day, and I ended up losing a bunch of followers from it because I probably insulted
Oh,
people
shit.
because they don't. I try to not to go too political on this show, but it was an actual episode of Crinkle Conspiracies, and I released it under Tinfoil Tells because no one really knows what Crinkle Conspiracies is unless they go over to the Patreon. But I
Yeah,
threw it out for Tinfoil Tells, and I'd lost like I think maybe 12 to 15 people following me. I was like, whatever.
yeah,
And
fuck it.
it's
I'll check
anyone
it out. Let's not ruin this one.
it's anyone that knows me knows that I am not political one way or the other. I think they're all cut from the same cloth for the most part. And but anyways, we kind of talked a little bit here and there about it, and there's just so many different things. There's no way some random ass kid just
Yeah,
got to climb up there and do that. With there was photos floating around before he even done anything. Like people were taking pictures of him climbing and of him just laying up there. Like it's like
yeah,
whatever.
the cops just like moving people away and not doing that.
Yeah.
Super weird.
And then the flag flying in the background with a fist raise. I was like, that is tell me this is the most amazing photo ever that wasn't planned and how patriotic. And I was like, that's so fucking bullshit.
And then apparently the new conspiracy is like, I don't know if you saw Trump was on he was on that kid Aiden Ross's stream. He was telling Aiden how Google altered the this in the picture. Google altered the face expressions of the security guards of the Secret Service and made them look like they were happy. So they were smiling while he was doing that thing. And he was like, that's not how they were. They were very upset. Google Google altered them. What the fuck? I mean, how, bro?
Fake photos, fake news, fake everything.
Yeah, thing is,
The world
well,
is a
you,
stage.
yeah, bro, it definitely is, man.
But no,
Um,
basically,
yeah,
I was going to say something a little bit ago and I got sidetracked and I forgot what I was even going to say, but yeah, I don't remember now.
yeah,
It
my
didn't have
bad.
anything to do
So,
with any of that stuff.
okay.
Oh, I
Well,
never, I remember what it was.
okay, yeah, go
When you mentioned Illuminati, anytime that gets brought up on an episode, and I just had this brought up because the other day the episode was about the Freemasons and the Illuminati and all that other stuff. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the newest episode that came out,
yeah, let's
but
check it out.
the lady that was talking on there, it got demonetized instantly because it said the topics on there were not suitable for advertising or anything like that for their advert. So they demonetized that video. Well, anytime I have a conspiracy related episode, YouTube demonetizes me. I just got
Mm,
I just got off a suspension like a month ago because they banned me for a week because of an episode. So at some point, I'm probably not going to be on YouTube much anymore because they keep. So I've been slowly trying to work on when I get the time to start moving things over to Rumble, just
Oh yeah.
because the whole YouTube channel at this point is probably got to go down the
We'll
shithole.
yeah, we'll speak on it after what exactly was she talking about that had it. That I don't even you know what's weird about the whole Illuminati Freemason thing? Like my uncle is part of it and I was kind of trying to grill him like, hey, so what's it about? He saw me on that. He was like, yeah, bro, it's just a we're just a group of men. We make men better, and it's kind of like, okay, that sounds a little weird. I see where the homophobic rhetoric comes from, but I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. But okay, then he's like, oh yeah, there's no He's like, oh, there's no devil worshiper. You have to believe in God. But then the interesting thing was like any God, you have to believe in some type of God to be part of this. I'm like, oh, wait, that's
The,
interesting.
they don't, I don't think they're, not everyone involved in it is
Oh yeah,
involved in it
definitely.
that deep because most of my family are involved in like the local chapter or whatever, and they're not out,
Lodge, yeah. Mhm.
not out doing that. They're not part of the, the
That you
Illuminati.
know of.
I mean,
That you know
if they are, then they need to come over here and hook it up because I'll join the Illuminati too. I don't care.
of.
Give me the family
That's what
discount or something.
that's what I was talking to Mark about it. I was like, yo, bro, like, my uncle's part of it. And he asked me if I wanted to join, and he was like, are you thinking about it? I'm like, I don't know, bro. Because that's the thing. I would never. I'm interested in that, but it's just like, bro, it feels like I don't want to be no real life or death shit. Like, if you guys
Yeah,
really doing some weird shit, I'm not down with it, bro. Y'all gotta have to kill me.
I don't think they even have like anything. They might have like a monthly or something meeting they got to go in there for, but I think it's just like basically old guys that go in there and have like a beer every now and then, and then that's about the end
That's
of
what
it.
I'm assuming. Yeah,
I don't think they do anything like, at least not in these podunk little areas of
like it
society.
have
Like,
to be like the ultra rich
yeah,
Masonic member there, like 33 degree, whatever.
yeah, the people that are above level 30 something.
Yeah,
And in order to get that way, you have to be pretty well off or very connected with people in power. But I think the first level entries are not going to be privileged enough to know all of the inner workings of how the society works.
yeah. Because from what I know, this is all about knowledge too. So it's and so one thing I was reading the Emerald Tablets. I'm like, yo, definitely masonry has something to do with this because it's like in the Emerald Tablets, are talking about like the laws of the universe or whatever. And then like it ends in like, okay, he ends it, he's like, all right, now I told you this, now hide it from the world. And only the righteous will know. Like you guys have to recruit it. I'm like, okay, hold on, this sounds familiar. You guys are hiding stuff in the world. Okay, is this what it is?
A lot of things I think get hidden in plain sight, and most of the people are too naive to pick up on it. Kind of like what we said earlier with the hidden messages you see in cartoons or TV shows or
Yeah,
anything like that. Like it's all out there, but we're just
yeah. And it's just like the random ass shows. It's like every show has to do this. Every show has to reference this all seeing eye, and like some of them, like the older ones used to do like a lot of Shriner stuff. Like it used to be like a random character that had like a Shriner's hat, and I was
Mhm.
like, what the fuck?
We just had the local parade here a couple weeks ago, and the little Shriners come out riding their little. They have little motorbikes that they ride around on. My wife's like, "You should go join them." I was like, "I'm not joining any little society thing like that. Not just because I want to wear a silly little hat and ride around with a little undersized motorcycle so I could crash in the middle of a parade.
Oh man.
I'm too big for those. I'm over 6'3", so like trying to ride on a little tiny bike, I'd look goofier and shit out there.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Maybe one day, one day I'll take the lead. But even though I told my girl and she was like a little like, no, she was super against it. She's like, well, no, you have to. And I mentioned you have to keep secrets. She was like, wait, what? What secrets you're gonna be keeping away from me? I'm like, oh, I guess I can't be joining this.
can't join a secret society if you can't keep the secret.
Yeah, right.
There wouldn't be a secret society if everyone knew about it. Which I think it was
Mm.
just funny because when you hear about stuff, people have all this information about secret societies and all this. I was like, well,
Yeah.
if you know all this information, it's clearly not a secret because you're out here pumping the world with all this information. So who gave you the information?
Yeah, I literally have a book. I meant to send it to my uncle. Like, hey, bro, I have this book that talks about all your Freemason shit. Like, is this even accurate? Like, can you even tell me yes or no?
Someone actually, a long time, it was about 20 something years ago now, they actually had a book out that basically was trying to describe all of what goes on with the Masons and how it basically pinpoints it to them being satanic. And I forget the name of the book, but it was, I know several people that was talking about it like over 20 something years ago to
You
family
remind,
members.
mhm. You remind me of something that in that I saw a clip. I think it might be talking about that, and they were saying how like they pray to this whole other god. Like,
Hmm.
and it was a specific name. I gotta find that because I need to send that to my uncle. Like, hey, bro, what's this about?
Yeah, that's they claim the G inside the like the Masonic symbol or whatever they claim is for God, but
Hmm.
they claim the actual God that they're worshiping is not the God of Christianity. It's like a different God, and I forget, like you said, I
The
forget the
grand
name of.
architect, the
Yeah, and
grand architect or something like that.
I forget the name of it, but it wasn't the God of Abraham or whatever. I don't know what the actual term would be for that God, but
Even like, even getting into that, like I told you, I remember last time I was telling you that I was started reading like the Bible and stuff, and I was just reading something about like Genesis is just like so weird. It's like, bro, like he literally described it like, all right, and it said like God cut open Adam's side, removed the rib, and then sewed it back up. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, if this is so a magical God, why is he doing a medical procedure? Like, what's going on?
when you start
Mm-hmm.
looking at it from a different perspective of that, like I can I can turn the Bible into the woo-woo side of craziness, but like think about it this aspect. Eve was not Adam's first wife,
Nah, we're looking over here.
Lilith. And Lilith was, I don't know the whole story what happened with Lilith, other than she was just evil.
That's what
So,
they tell us. I don't think she was evil at all.
but
They said she was a subservient. That's why we needed someone that came from him, so she would be subservient to him.
but she was killed off, and then in different variations she became like,
The succubus and
yeah,
all that.
like
Yeah,
a demon or whatever.
yeah.
So
You know
how
what's weird
how
too? I'm not gonna finish. My bad. Sorry.
no, you're fine. I was gonna say, how do they know that she turned into that? Like again, like, but I can go back to that here in a second.
It's just they're just my interpretation, especially after reading like Da Vinci Code and shit. I just feel like the guys. It's gonna sound cliche. I think they were just being misogynistic. Like they literally just hated women and like it's just I don't know what I forgot where I saw it, but it was, or like I heard it, but it was just like apparently Mary Magdalene was supposed to be like the head of the church, and then like Peter was like not having it.
Yeah.
But then like they made her into this whore, and then, like you gotta like they just found ways to demonize women, and then like it's weird because then I have a not a king, yeah, I have a King James version of the Bible, but it's not the King James New version. It's like a King James version, so it's like not original, but like an older version.
Hmm.
And in the Genesis, before it gets to like it says, and then we created man and woman in our image, and then it's like comma, or then it ends, and then it said, and then we created Adam, and from Adam, and then Adam was lonely, and we created a woman from his rib. And I'm like, wait, but hold on, didn't it just create man and woman before y'all created Adam? Why is it
Right.
two separate?
Why do you got to take a rib from Adam to create a
And
woman when you already had one?
yeah, and then they said in our image, so it's like, wait, who's our? And it was man and woman in our image. So then it gets into that like, oh, there was a female version of God, and then that gets wiped away also.
A lot of people interpret that towards the Anunnaki, and that's kind of what I was going to go with a little bit ago. Is when you hear Eve again, Eve obviously disobeyed God and ate the forbidden fruit and gave us free thinking and everything, but who manipulated her?
Serpent.
It was a serpent, and God punished them by removing their legs and making them crawl on their bellies. Well, if you're thinking about it in this aspect, it was a quote unquote reptilian
Mm-hmm.
talking to her, giving her that knowledge. I said that's where you go on the blue side. You can say, well, it was the evil reptilians they claim here that are here to feed on the negativity, and that's there's so many different things to the how anyone can interpret the Bible in different aspects, and
And it's kind of weird too, because it's like, well, it says like, oh, and like part of the punishment is like you're gonna roll around, like you're gonna crawl on your stomach, and like every time her offspring sees you, they're gonna bash you into the ground. And it's like I don't really see like I could see like maybe in the past, like I don't think that's like a natural thing. Humans want to kill snakes. I feel like we usually run away from them. So is it even a snake that we're talking about? Like,
right.
yeah,
I don't even know the context for how that again, the Bible was written by men,
yeah.
and
And I'm no expert. Sorry, just if
yeah,
I'm saying anything wrong.
I'm no expert. Anyone knows that I'm just a guy with a microphone. But just from the little bit that I think I may know and probably don't know, my own opinion on the situation would be everything was written by men, and I think it was written as a means to control. And you've even mentioned it before, like most women in there are demonized. And
Mhm.
if a woman does something wrong, the men have permission to stone her to death, like out in the street, because she looked at another man, and you have permission to brutally murder your, like, it's just, the Bible is really brutal, especially towards women.
Yeah,
And I feel like between the Old Testament God and the New Testament God, God changed his role a little bit too. Because the Old Testament God was fire and brimstone. You piss me off, I'm wiping you all out.
yeah. Even that's a whole other like thing because like there's multiple theories. It's like the demiurge and then there's the other god and then So then I saw, so then this is a demiurge thing, and then I saw there's like this whole other theory where it's like the God of the Old Testament was basically like he was the offspring of like the mother god and the father god or the mother god or something, and then like he went off and made his own universe, and then that's when God came in and like they wanted to correct the world, and then that's when Jesus comes in because then it's correcting the things or whatever. It's just too much because it's like that's why I kind of love and hate conspiracy because it's like all right, it's a new story, but then it's like all right, now it's a new story. Like how can I tie this into like the main narrative? And it's just a lot.
I've always brought this up, and I know it irritates people, but if you look at it in that concept, God had to have given, like, God made evil, if you believe in the Bible, regardless of what anyone wants to say. If God created the angels, God knows everything. We only have free will because we ate the forbidden fruit. Eve ate the forbidden fruit. Did angels not have free will? Then how were the angels able to rebel against God? How did the devil do it? How did Lucifer, like, and the other angels, like the fallen angel, how did they? Because God would have had to known they were going to do this because he was the grand creator. He knew everything before it
Yeah,
ever happened. So therefore, he knew it was going to happen when he created them.
yeah. But you know what's even weirder? Because then it's like when you read the Bible, it kind of makes it seem like he's not all knowing. Because it is
Hmm.
like, and the story with Cain and Abel, he comes down and he's like, "Hey, where's your brother at?" And he's like, it was just like the hubris of man is so like what the fuck? Like, you really sat up there and told God, like, what am I my brother's keeper? Like, how am I supposed to know? I don't know. Like, what? Like, just the idea, like, to us, it may sound crazy, like, bro, like, who are they even really talking to that they could talk to? what we perceive as God like that. But you're like, how?
I know this is why people believe in like the ancient astronaut theory or whatever, but what if what they were interpreting as God was just someone that had a higher power, higher intelligence, and people say, oh, it was the Anunnaki, they came down here and they designed us.
Yeah,
But
definitely all related. Definitely all related.
I feel like there's definitely something going on there. I don't know if God is the God that we think God is. I definitely believe
What?
there is a creator,
Yeah, so with
but
like the whole Anunnaki thing, I think the God that we think is, and sorry if I'm getting it wrong, I think it's El is the one that we think is like our version of God will be El, which is what are the names again? Because it's El, but it's also something else. What are the is Enki and Lil, and Lil and Enki. So I know
mhm,
one of them is supposed to be like the evil one. But it can, and then it could also still be interpreted as the New Testament God, Old Testament God. You get it? Because
mhm,
one of them's supposed to be like vengeful and stuff, but he still like somewhat cares about us. Yeah,
right. I
it's
feel
too much.
like when it comes to that, I don't I don't know. I just don't necessarily believe everything that was written. I think they were inspired by things that happened, but I don't necessarily because how many times has it been rewritten? I actually
Yeah,
talked to someone else from another conspiracy podcast, and when I said the Bible had been rewritten, they're like, "No, it hasn't." I was like, "I mean, there's different versions of the Bible. You have your King
yeah,
James version, you have your NIV version. Like they're all interpreted differently." And
yeah,
then I actually talked with Juan from the One on One podcast, and he said that there's 45,000 different denominations of Christianity alone. So clearly,
yeah,
like I didn't even know there was that many. So if 45,000 different denominations interpret the Bible differently, and it's all been rewritten different times by different men to push their whatever agenda they were wanting to push, the Bible's literally just there and uses as means of control. But
yeah. I mean, that's yeah. Just like insert a marginalized community you want to oppress here and rewrite it. I think
yeah,
usually how it goes.
yeah. Like I said, I don't have anything against people that are religious. I grew up in a religious household. It's just as I got older, I started looking into things and it didn't make any sense. And I'm not saying that it's wrong, but it's just not how I live my life these days. And I get a lot of people giving me a lot of crap because the stuff that I've experienced and they're wanting me to have people come out and bless the house. I need to do this. I need to have Jesus. I need to have all this other stuff. And I was like, I mean, what if that doesn't work?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't change anything. So,
And I kind of feel like that's why like me too also like just to wrap this one up because I know we almost at an hour. We probably hit an hour already.
yeah.
Um me personally like growing up I felt like I had resentment towards like church and stuff because I was forced to go, but then like as I got older, I grew an appreciation of from like learning and remembering the passages and like when a story come about, oh, I remember that from Sunday school, like, and it kind of like re-sparked my interest in just like looking for the word itself, like not going for the community and the people or whatever, because a lot of people they go for that. I never liked that part of it because then like that's where you see all like the imperfections of man and like all those things are what drive you away from church and it's like the judgment and then like feeling less than and it sucks because you're not supposed to be judged by them because only God's supposed to judge us but they're also judging you and then if you don't have enough money for the tithe and then all this type of bull
Yeah.
crap it's like why am I even doing
Where did it say at in the Bible that you had to give so much money to the church?
I don't think that's part of the Bible. I think that's part of like you know how they always have like their extra doctrine on the side. Like
Yeah.
that
I've
might have been
always
like a pulp decree or some shit.
I've always said that too. Is like, why does God need money?
Why does God need 10%
Yeah.
specifically of your net income?
Yep. Again, that's it's a very lucrative business.
Yeah.
But
But let me. I guess I gotta just tell the story before we wrap it up of like why I was like my ghost story. So to wrap it up, this is when I had first moved. Like me and my girlfriend had first moved in together. We were like in her old building, but we moved to a different apartment. And it was weird because the apartment that she was living in at first, when I first met her, it was apparently uh a priest lived there or something. That's what the rumor was. She kept telling me a priest lived there. He died in that apartment. So her old room when she was living there with her roommates, it was like the study. So it was kind of like in the living room, and it didn't have like real doors. Like it had like swing doors, swing glass doors. And I would always feel like this weird vibe when I was up there, bro. Like, and I always would feel like someone was looking at me. And I never really had too much crazy things happen to me there. I Matter of fact, I think that might have been when my night terrors started happening again when I was up there. And yeah, actually that is when it started happening again. Where
hmm,
that's when it started happening again. But I never saw anything like blatantly out. I remember there was this one weird, like I felt like I saw something, but I feel like that happened all the time. I don't count those technically. But we ended up moving out of that apartment. We moved downstairs. We're like in a bigger apartment. So so we moved to a different apartment. It was a bigger apartment. It was like a duplex. And there was a staircase in the apartment. So at this time, I'm sleeping in the living room. And because my stepdaughter was over there, I think this might have been like the first time that I'm meeting her or whatever. So, typical stuff, like she's in the room with her mom and I'm gonna go sleep on the couch. And I'm sleeping there and I wake up in the middle of the night. And you know when you wake up in the middle of the night and you just like look over?
hmm,
I, I look over and I see, I kid you not, and I've never seen the movie, it's just from like pop culture influence that I know what it looks like. And I see this grudge looking character standing at the doorway of the living room. And I'm like dazed. You wake up in the middle of the night, you're like not fully there, you don't have all your faculties. So I'm just like, oh, I see her, I'll just call her Ashley. Hey Ashley, go back to the room, go back to sleep with your mom. I'll turn back around, go back to sleep. So she like gives me no reaction, she just there standing. I'm like, all right, whatever, I went back to sleep. Wake up in the morning, talk to her, I go, hey, does Ashley usually get up in the middle of the night like that? And what? She never got out of bed. She never gets out of bed. She doesn't even wake up. We could have a full blown argument in the room and she won't wake up. And this is something I learned after, not because we were arguing, but like she literally had a heavy ass sleep, and like nothing could wake her up. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, no way. And then I tell her my girl's creeped out. She never wants to talk about it. She's like, she's like, she never wants to talk about it. She never had an experience herself. And a couple months go by. I don't see nothing really. We end up getting a roommate, and now like the roommate's living in the living room where I was sleeping at. And then she tells me that she heard. Remember, I told her there was the stairs. She's sleeping in bed, and she says that she felt like she saw like a kid like peek in because there was like a curtain, peek in through the curtain, and then like run up the stairs. And she heard like the footsteps on the stairs. But the weird thing is, when you get to the top of the stairs, there's nowhere to go because it was like closed off at that time.
hmm.
So it was super weird, yeah. So that happened. She's creeped out. We don't really see anything. After that, nothing really happened in the house other than like me seeing like shadows and shit. But I equate that to like me having bad eyesight or whatever. And but right before we left, right before we moved out, the month before we moved out, we went to Georgia for like a family reunion for my family. My girl's brother was dog watching, basically house sitter, so he could walk the dog and stuff. And he was down in the basement. Apparently, weirdly enough, like we have by this point, we already have moved upstairs. We have both floors, but weirdly enough, all these things always happen in the basement. When he was in the basement and he was smoking in the bathroom, and there were these what do you call it? Like the swing doors, but not glass. They're like actual doors. So it's like
Like
let's
shutter
say it's the
doors.
like shutter doors. Yeah, shutter doors, and but they swing open, and it basically divides the bathroom from the room. So the room has two entrances
Like
to the
accordion
bathroom.
doors.
Yeah, 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 like accordion doors, but they were just doors that they
Yeah.
swing open. Um,
Almost like the old saloon doors.
yeah, like the saloon doors, but like like two actual doors, like holding it together. You get
Mm-hmm.
it? And bro, he says he was smoking, and out of nowhere, the doors just swing open. But bro, I'm telling you, there's no way like these doors, like if they were closed, there's no way they're just swinging open. It's not like they're like loose, like they were even like rubbing together that like to the point where I almost had to stand them down so they won't be rubbing against each other. It'll
Yeah.
be easier to close. So there was no way that like they were swinging open. And then he said that happened, and then like his hair just like stood up. He was like super creeped out. My girl tried to say it, well, it might have been like a mouse or something. No,
The mouse wouldn't have done that, swinging them
a
open.
mouse is not swinging the door open. I'm like, damn, bro. I'm like, ah, good thing we're moving.
So you mentioned the mouse. Obviously, I've had weird instances with mice, but the
Oh
other
yeah.
day I brought up my lawnmower to put gas into it, and for some reason there was a towel on the seat of the lawnmower, and I didn't think anything of it. I figured whoever rode it last just put a towel on it so they didn't have to sit on the seat. As I'm putting gas in, a friggin' mouse pops its head out from under the towel and then just jumps off and runs out into my garage. So I was sitting on that damn mouse the whole time from the barn all the way to the garage. So yeah,
Yeah. Fucking my spirit's trying to get up your ass, bro.
yeah, I don't know. I'm glad it waited till I got off the lawnmower to get up, and I didn't look down. There was a mouse sitting on me. That'd have freaked me out. I'd have probably crashed the mower.
Yeah,
But
that's crazy. Yeah, yeah. I mean, so the for me, like that was kind of like the. I mean, other than I feel like sometimes I feel like I see things here and there, but I kind of feel like maybe you just like because you know the human brain like tries to make answers for things.
mhm.
So I feel like maybe sometimes, like especially at work, I feel like I see things, but it's because like I work like at a warehouse, it's big aisles. Maybe there's like a broom in the corner, and me walking by real quick, it looks like the silhouette of a body and stuff like that. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I've been like trying to see things, like I want to see shit, but I'm not gonna make it up also, and that's kind of why I feel like I didn't mention it our first time we spoke. I really have to tell my wait, I did see that girl thing in the house.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was. Hey, yeah. It's not my bad.
Um,
Yeah.
when it comes to the kids and creepiness and everything else, my kids like to come in my bedroom, and usually they're really loud. But the one time that they're not going to be loud and they sneak in there, I'm probably going to wake up and I'm probably end up punching my kid because they've scared the crap out of me. Like, I don't understand why kids get so creepy sometimes, but like, I've woken up before and my stepson's been in our room and he's just standing in the doorway. I was like, "What are you doing?" "I can't sleep." "Then why are you watching us?" Like, that was like that happened like several years ago, but like he doesn't do that now. But he was probably like 6 or 7 at the time. I was like, "Why are kids so freaking creepy?" And just like
Kids are
watch it
definitely
sleep.
creepy. They see stuff, bro. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is. I don't. Oh, I don't. I said it on my podcast, but my son. I guess it's like the only thing that used to happen upstairs was my son. He would look like around his room like in weird ways when I was like putting him down to sleep, and it just like always like creeped me out, bro. To the point where I had to ask him one time, like, "What are you looking at?" And then he
Mm-hmm.
was like, and he said a name, bro. He said a name, and that shit like kind of creeped me out. He said something like Elias, and I was like, "What?" Bro, it creeped me the fuck out because he barely was talking at the time. So I'm like, what
Right.
the fuck? I've never even heard that name. Who the fuck is Elias? And then he just like looked at me and then like whatever. And then the following day, like I was like just kidding with his mom, like, hey, Emery, are you gonna tell your mom like about Elias? And then like he looked at me like, I'm not supposed to tell her about him. And then I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's like my kid. And I think I told you on your show, like her imaginary friend named Chloe.
Mhm.
Like she's 2 years old. She shouldn't even know a Chloe. And then my son just this past winter saying ghost. Like he barely even spoke. And that was one of the first things he's talking about is ghost. Like, how in the hell you know what a ghost is?
Oh,
So
there actually is another development also. So remember I was telling you about the what's he like these orb thingies in the room? There was one night there was like this orb thing that kind of went towards the direction, and he kind of like started freaking out after. He started like he woke up in the middle of the night and started yelling and shit. That shit creeped me out that night. I'm not even gonna lie, because we usually just like, oh, it's just dust or whatever.
hmm
That one was weird. And then like, you know what also makes me think like reincarnation might be real? Like, well, I was just playing with my son the other day, and he has like this toy drill, and just like casually, like I don't know, just fucking around, like I like lifted it up and like pointed it towards him, and he like ducked down and was like ducking, like covering his head. I'm like, whoa, whoa, how the fuck you know what a gun is?
right.
I'm like, you never watch anything about no guns. You never see nobody shoot. Like, how do you know this knowledge? And it's like, is this passed down in DNA? Is
I
this
I
like,
honestly think some of it kind of is because even my kid, he's never really been around guns, but he knows what a gun is because he like toy guns, he calls them monk mocks, and he would
monk
shoot it.
monks?
He would act like he was shooting at you. He's never watched anything. I didn't play games that shot or anything like that around him. So, but he said mock mock, and when he said mock, he's talking about a gun, and he wants to go like mock mock, like he's shooting at you with it.
Yeah, that sounds like a. I mean, that doesn't sound like a gun. I mean, what a kid might interpret a gun to sound like.
Yeah, but
Monk
no, he
monks.
he he'd call them mock mocks. Well, that's what?
That's weird.
Yeah,
Does he have any weird birthmarks on him?
no, not that I'm
Okay.
aware of.
My son has a big mark on his back. I'm like, damn, don't tell me you got shot in the back in your past life.
Yeah, no, I don't. He doesn't have anything weird like that, but it's my daughter still will randomly say she'll come in our room. She's 5, but she'll come in our bedroom and say she's had bad dreams. And I always ask her what was she dreaming about, and then she'll never tell me.
Ah,
She just said they were bad dreams. Like, what were you dreaming? I don't remember. Then how do you know they were a bad dream? Like,
trust me.
so I always try and find out what they're dreaming about because if they tell me some really crazy stuff, I'm like, all right, I got to go through the house again. Go fight some aliens or
Yeah.
whatever the hell's bothering them. I have no idea at this point.
Yeah, I mean that type of shit is crazy, bro. Especially like getting into these shows and like listening to these like tales, and then like certain kids get abducted, and then like it's weird because something like I guess like one of the characteristics is when you get abducted, they knock your partner or whoever's in the house out like to the point where they can't wake up, and then it's like it creeps me out because it's like that's kind of how I be when I'm sleeping. So it's like
Yeah,
if something happened in the house when I can't wake up, I can't move and shit, like what's going on?
it's
It's
weird too
some
because I get I used to be so skeptical about a lot of this stuff, but anymore I'm like I can't be skeptical because there's too much coincidence. I don't really believe in coincidence. And it makes me wonder, like when my kids have a nightmares, there's something really coming and taking her. You know what I mean? It's like
Oh man.
I get like protective dad mode, so I'm like, I'm gonna lay weight a motherfucker when it comes in there. I'm gonna punch it in the nose or something. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I'm
So
definitely like super scared of that shit. But also like as like get more into it and then I start like realizing there's a spiritual side to it, I have a strong feeling that these entities or whatever they are, they can't technically hurt us unless we give in to their fear. And I feel like if we just evoke like if we just like if we say, hey, you can't hurt us, I believe in God and stuff like that. Like not to be cliche about it, 'cause I know it sounds like, oh, you're pushing God on us. I'm not super religious, God. I just feel like if you believe that you can't be taken and they can't hurt you, I honestly feel like they can't do it. Because there's something about like in the Bible it says like the devil can't create anything for his minions and stuff like that. And it's just like there's something to it, bro. Like these things, like there's too many accounts of people have been abducted and they say like, hey, I invoke the name of Jesus Christ and these entities just left me and all this and that and it's just like, bro, there has to be something to it.
yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I feel like there's all sorts of connections one way or the other. I think all religious aspects to it. I think paranormal to aliens to cryptids, like somehow one way or the other, I feel like everything's connected, and I don't know how to describe it and explain how it's connected. I just feel like there's
Hmm.
all some sort of correlation with it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking about doing a show like that, just trying to find the correlations and everything. Because I definitely do think everything is related. When I was reading the Quran, weirdly enough, when they was talking about like the same parts of Genesis, when they're talking about like all the sons of Abraham and stuff, I'm like, wait, are these like just like the different? Like I started looking at the Bible, like, yo, is this just like telling us the story of the world, like how different kinds of people went into different areas, and just hey, these are all the sons of all these people, and they live over here, but they worship the cow. And I was like, what the fuck? Wait, is that Hindus? What's that
Mm,
about?
yeah, it is strange to me if people want to believe in like the religious text of any sort of religion or whatever, but like it doesn't explain how everyone is spread out across the whole world. And then it doesn't explain how you had pyramids in Egypt. You also have pyramids in South America. You've had pyramids all over, like all over the world. There's been pyramids that popped up. What was making people decide to evolve themselves to want to build pyramids? There's thousands of miles of oceans between a lot of these civilizations, and yet they're all building pyramids around the same time frame.
Yeah, and it's weird because like if I remember I was talking about the Emerald Tablet stuff, like he talks about that stuff, and he basically saying that he created all that, like because it's weird. Because then it's like that whole book could be all bullshit because it comes from a tablet that was translated or whatever. Like
Yeah,
who really knows where that is? Like because then it talks about like oh it's just all like remnants of Atlantis. It's just a lot. Another theory that I recently been like I kind of like now is the theory of that Jesus's millennial reign already happened and we're actually living in the time of the devil. That's why like the world is so fucked up
and
because apparently
the tribulations.
yeah yeah so that's why like when Jesus comes back it is gonna be like the final war technically because right now we're living in Satan's domain. That's why the world is so the way it is.
I interviewed a guy named John Kerwin, and he'd mentioned that too. He thinks this is the era that we're living in.
Okay.
But
It's a
yeah,
lot, man.
yeah. I mean, it's
So,
possible. I don't know.
yeah. But I feel like we could be here all day. I don't even think this is like a regular full tales. I'm just fucking we got it done.
Mm,
We'll always do another one.
Yeah.
This
Anytime
is
you want to, we can get some scheduled, but no. I enjoy having different types of episodes. I enjoy having conversations and it changes it up. So it works for me. We talked about a lot of things that I enjoy talking about, and
same, man.
the audience out there gives them a break from hearing some of the normal
Same.
stuff that we do. So it's always good to have something different every night, now and then.
You've had a lot of Sasquatch recently.
Yeah, that is a lot of the things. They're the most popular shows that I have for some reason. Those and Dogmen shows are usually the two that get the most interest. So I think I have a lot of cryptid fans out there, but I don't want the whole show to be focused on that just because my whole concept was basically talk about anything. So
Hold
anything
on,
that
let me see.
anything that's weird, anything that's outside the normal that we know of, what we consider normal. A lot of people, I think, have experiences with strange things, but they don't ever realize it.
Yeah. I think it's also kind of like human nature to like shrug it off and like put it away because it's like, yeah, I don't want to be judged.
I've thought about this recently, and I've been on a few other shows, and I've talked a bit about more things that happened to me when I was younger. Things that I didn't think, things that I thought were like scary as a kid, and as I grew up, I was like, well, I was just a kid. But now that I've been doing this show and I've been going back into those memories, I was like, you know what? Maybe what I actually thought I saw was really what I actually saw.
Yeah.
It wasn't my imagination. So, and I brought this up on a couple episodes recently. Usually it's around the time frame of kids being around 6 to 8 years old when they start having weird experiences. Usually when it's UFO related, alien related. For me, it was strange little humanoid things. And I was about 6, 7, 8 years old when all that stuff started. Was afraid that there was a monster down in the little wooded area, the gully area we called it, because we'd seen it. It came out and it chased us as kids. We all ran away from it because we were all terrified of it. And I was like, well, it couldn't have been real. There's no such thing as that. But nowadays, I'm like, I hear people talk about puckwudgies and shit all the time, little humanoid things. So it's like, who knows? But it is just strange because when people actually would go back, if anyone listening would just sit there and think about some of the weird things that happened to them as kids just growing up and you wrote it off, but go back to those memories and actually start to think, did you really just imagine that or did it really happen? And it will actually start making you question it and you'll start going back deeper and you'll start to realize that you probably had a lot of experiences that you just wrote off.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of shit that we can't explain, bro. Like dreams. There's a, I don't think it was your show. It might have been a Mark's show, or maybe even Tinfoil Hack. There was a guy talking about like how dreams are to like premonitions and stuff like that. I actually had a guy talk, that guy Drake. He mentioned that a little bit, but he was actually saying he referred to it as a like deja vu in a way. But he was saying like how he used it to change the outcome of the situation. It's just it's a lot. It's weird. It's so much. Definitely want to get back on the show again whenever you can have me.
Yeah.
I feel I want to get on Crinkle too, man. I need to get on Crinkle Conspiracy with your bud, man. I feel like that's more of a
Yeah.
study type of show. We just
Well,
kick shit.
we don't ever have a schedule for when we do that, but let me talk with my co-host Ed and we'll figure something out and we can definitely have you on with us. We
Definitely,
talked about it
definitely.
the other day. It'd be cool to have someone on and have a guest on there, be our first crinkled guest.
All right, definitely, man. I will be honored. But yeah, appreciate you having me, man. Make sure you guys follow me at Sunny SUNNY period NYCC on Instagram. Also follow the podcast Instagram at NFS period POD on Instagram. Follow the YouTube channel NFS Podcast. Sorry. Um, yeah, man, and I appreciate you having me on the show again. I know I wasn't a typical guest, but I feel like hopefully it was entertaining for the guests. If you guys like enjoyed anything I talked about, check me out, hit me up. I'll be glad to chop it up with you guys about any conspiracies. Put me onto some religious stuff if you guys want to,
Hmm.
or whatever.
I will make sure to have links for everything toward your stuff. So anyone listening right now can just go into the notes and it'll take you links to Sonny's Instagram and his YouTube channel. But
Thanks.
you're also, it's not just on, you also have it available like on Spotify and other platforms too,
Oh yeah,
correct?
yeah. It's everywhere. It's on Spotify. It was on Google. I think Google Podcast is done for.
Yeah, Google's gone now.
So yeah, Spotify. I got it. Might be on SoundCloud. I have to check. But it's definitely Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. I think it's on Sirius also because like the app I use a Anchor podcaster. They just
Mm-hmm.
like shoots it everywhere.
Yeah.
But then it's weird because I feel like they don't even tell you what your shit is doing anywhere else except for Spotify. So I feel like it's kind of like I feel like my show might be bigger than it might be, and then I just don't know about it. But it is what it is.
Well, for anyone listening to Tinfoil Tales, wherever you're listening at, you can probably find Sonny's show. We're the same place you listen to my show. So,
Yep.
but we're going to head on out. So, again, thanks to Sonny. Thanks for listening. And good night, everyone. And that's the show, everyone. I really hope you guys enjoyed the conversations. If you would like to be a guest on Tinfoil Tells, remember to send an email to tinfoiltellspodcast@gmail.com or go to the contact section of tinfoiltells.com. Just get your message to me. We'll get something scheduled for a future episode. And just remember, the truth lies in the stories we share, the connections we make. Stay curious, stay open-minded. Thank you all for joining us on this journey. And until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep exploring the unknown. Good night, everyone.
Tinfoil tales in the headphones. Yeah, it's time to rock. Got a story about a cryptic creature. Let's take a walk. Bigfoot, dogman, they're out there in the dark. But the truth is out there like an alien spark. UFO sightings got the whole world shook. Conspiracies unfold like a story in a book. Media control, trying to keep us blind. But oh, before gonna use my own mind. In history, they don't want us to know the secrets they hide, the truth they won't show. Dominate our society, they keep us in chains. But I'm standing tall, it's time to break the reins. Control, trying to keep us blind. But I won't be fooled, gonna use my own mind. In history, they don't